It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app and streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980. All right, so let's finish up that thought we had right before the break, right? You said, hey, if Sam plays really well and you keep winning football games, you make the playoffs, you think that it's going to be hard to fire Ron Rivera to the point that Josh Harris won't do it. I vehemently disagree with that, but why do you think that that's the case?
I just look at Josh's track record of where he's been. It's not like he's in a rush to blow out people. He's got one more year left on the contract where you got to pay him anyway. Even if you fire him, you got to pay him for that fifth year, correct?
Sure, but I mean, I guess on one hand, if you just paid $6 billion, like $8 million is not that much. But also, if you just paid $6 billion, do you really want to be paying double coaches?
You know, so there's that portion of it. But then it's like, as much crap as I've given this front office, as everyone else has given this front office, if they get quarterback right, and he is the guy moving forward, and we know, according to people, like how influential Marty Herney was, and like Sam Howell and him coming here, and like that was him. How do you get rid of those guys that found your guy moving forward?
Easily.
Because I'm not saying like I'm banging down the door to keep him. I'm just playing devil's advocate here for the segment. But
I 100%. I mean, it's a valid question, right? But here's the easy rebuttal, and I will do this from the Josh Harris perspective. Josh Harris is a process guy. In fact, he's the process guy, right? What was the process for getting Sam Howell and starting him?
Okay. It was an ugly process to get there.
It was dumb, stupid.
It made no sense. It wasn't calculated.
They had him way higher on their draft board, for sure, which, like, they liked him.
Yeah.
But the reason they didn't take him sooner is because they had traded for Carson, a terrible, just franchise-altering decision.
That's wow. Okay.
Right?
I agree with it, though.
And then they didn't take him higher, even though he was the best player on their board, I think, like, for 3 or 4 picks in a row.
And they didn't.
And they were like, we can't take a quarterback because we're going to hurt Carson Wentz's feelings. Yeah. That's a pretty easy sell for me.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I don't even have a rebuttal to that because that shows what I've been hitting at, too. Like, their plan at quarterback has been crappy since he's gotten here. I think he may have, like, what's the old saying? The broken clock is right twice a day.
And that's where Harris, being a process-oriented person who, like, will make you show your work, is
I hated
really,
showing my work in math.
Yeah, same. It's like, because that's the answer.
Yeah.
But what you realize later in life, perhaps, is that the reason showing your work is important is because if you actually know how to get to the right thing, you can repeat that process more often. Getting, like, in any single here's some life philosophy for you, Lynnell. That's really what this segment is about. So I can have you come sit down in studio and I can learn you a thing or two.
Yeah, I went from the therapy session to life lessons.
Yeah. So on any singular instance, you'd rather be lucky than good. But luck is not a strategy. Put that on a.
I like that. That's real.
Put that on a t-shirt, right? Luck is not a strategy, but you'd rather be lucky than good in any individual instance.
But if you get lucky at quarterback, you may not have to be good again for a while.
But then you just ruin it, right? Like,
you get what I'm saying when I say that?
Yeah, no, for quarterback,
he'll be your guy for 10 years,
right? But like, it's not like they've killed it with the rest of the roster.
That's another conversation for another day.
It's why Ron Rivera is not going to be here next year.
That's
speaking of. By the way, that brings us to your next hot take. It's Overreaction Tuesday with Lynnell here on the Hoffman Show. Lynnell brings his takes. We judge whether or not they're overreactions or legitimate, good point. I mean, they're all legitimate takes, but good points.
I believe everything I say.
Yes,
that should be a drop. I believe everything I say.
Well, now we've got it nice and clean. We'll cut that up and put it on the board and probably never play it. You know what we actually play? We just play dudes random screams. That's all. Yeah. That's the only drops we ever use. The point is, the rest of the roster, the defense, yikes. In a lot of games this year, overall, big yikes. It feels like they had a bounce-back performance, but in talking to you a little bit in the break, it sounds like you're still more on the yikes train.
I am still more on the yikes train because their big Achilles heel on the season has been the amount of explosives they've given up via the pass and via the run. They had a huge explosive given up to Ramondre Stevenson on Sunday, where a lot of guys are at fault. I've seen the breakdown in the cross dog and how it's supposed to be Jamin, but Percy Butler, if you're going to be a starting safety in this league, that tackle has to be made 100 times out of 100.
Well, and also the gap at the line of scrimmage is just insane.
Guys getting moved.
I'm
I don't
pretty
know
sure
which
that was
D-line
Payne
that was.
Got pushed out of that gap. But I need to go back and watch again. But yeah, you don't get an explosive play in the run game without mistakes.
That can't happen.
Three
Mac
levels.
Jones was god awful. He might be the worst starting quarterback in the league.
He might be.
Some of the chunk plays that he missed on Sunday. When you go back and watch the tape, if you're Washington, you feel good because you didn't give it up. But it's like, holy heck, what are we doing? How are guys getting?
I don't think you feel good about it watching the tape.
First of all, because of the personnel you're going against. This is a receiving core and an offense that has been inept all year long, 14.1 points per game. Like, they don't get open. They got open against you, and Mac, for whatever reason, just couldn't hit them. This game probably should have went into overtime if Juju Smith-Schuster doesn't drop the football. Right. So it's interesting to look at the defense moving forward. I think there's a change in philosophy getting ready to happen, and it's all leaning into the quarterback. Maybe they're going to stop investing on defense and stop signing big money guys because it isn't really working for them, and invest all of your resources on offense because even the guys that you got left, Payne and John, to me, just haven't been that impactful this year. And maybe I'm overstating it because the sack numbers aren't there, but it just feels like on a down-in, down-out basis, they're not playing in the other team's backfield at the rate that they were last year.
I think that's fair.
Moving forward, like, I don't know what you do about the defense because it doesn't get easier for you. And then I will give them credit for one thing, Craig. Emmanuel Forbes, I said it Friday night on Overtime. I caught his Instagram post while I was on the air, and I said that probably means he's going to start this week. And I love the idea of it. You're going up against New England, who doesn't have a good receiving core. You let him bounce back and see if, the time on the bench has helped him. You get to build some confidence for him if he plays well, which he did. But going to the Pacific Northwest this weekend against Seattle, I would be playing him sparingly because I don't really like the matchups there. That's a really good receiving core. And we're going to see what happens up north in the Pacific West is what I'll say because I don't like the matchup at all. I wonder if, like you were saying, the defense didn't really bounce back last week. I wonder if Seattle exposes that on Sunday because they got weapons.
I think that's actually very good analysis. Little take command preview for you. We always seem to stumble into this. Logan, he deadass goes, if I was Bill O'Brien, I'd want to punch Mac Jones in the face.
I mean, he was bad, bro.
He was awful. He missed so much. Like, you scheme open so much stuff, and your quarterback just can't hit it. And then some of the stuff he does hit, you're like, Juju, come on, man. Yeah. Like, can you catch the ball? Can Jalen Reagor catch a ball? Like, there's some stuff where even if you don't fix the Mac errors, the receivers just catch one or two balls. Like, you're talking about another 10 points. So I do think that there are real concerns and questions about this defense. They seem to, like, you just can straight up say, okay, whatever this team is averaging on the year, add 5 to 6 points, or 4 to 8 points, and that's what the teams are going to score on Washington. One schematic decision that Jack Del Rio makes this week is he plays a lot more man, and I wonder if he knew that New England just didn't have the horses.
That's what it was.
And so is it like, okay, look, we were willing to take some risk and work on some stuff because we knew, like, we wanted Mac Jones to, like, make throws because we knew we couldn't do it. And then against a guy like Geno Smith, who's more dangerous, you go like, all right, we're going to get back to zone and the stuff that we do a little bit better. But now we've got some of this man coverage stuff on tape. It throws off our tendencies. Like, I think that there could be, I don't want to give it like full on chess, but they were like willing to be a little riskier because they knew who they were playing. And if that's the case, hats off to them. They'll never say it publicly because you just don't come out and be like, yeah, we did the risky thing because those guys suck. But that kind of feels like what it was.
That's what it was. And in terms of like them and their variance in coverage, I saw a graphic going into last week. Washington has they've been the most diverse in terms of their coverages out of anybody in the NFL, but their success rate is the lowest. I'm thinking like maybe you need to stop being so diverse and find you a couple coverages that you just run damn good and have that be your bread and butter because the amount of bust that you're having is kind of bad.
Well, it makes it hard, too, because I think they've been better in cover 2 looks this year, but then you give up a big run, and you're like, whoa.
I got to bring somebody
what are we doing here? Yeah. So it's a tough defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, any coordinator, tough job in the NFL.
Well, they hinted at how they could improve that. I think Jack is going to start having to get creative in how he generates pressure because I don't buy this front four right now. New England's offensive line isn't good.
That's the one thing I will say is an overreaction, I think, from you this week. We finally got one as we wrap up Overreaction Tuesday. I think it's hard to judge pressure against New England because Mac, the one thing he does well is get rid of the ball.
Okay.
So, like, they know their line stinks, and so they get the ball out of his hands. I think this weekend is a much better test to see. Geno will hold on to it a little bit. Like, he will hang in there for better or for worse. Does your coverage hold up? Can your pass rush get home? We're going to find out this weekend.
I think Ron hinted at it. When did he talk? Yesterday? About using Quan Martin as a blitzer and finding different ways to get home. They're going to have to get creative in how they do that. And I think Quan did get really close on Sunday.
He did.
Blitzing is like a hard thing. Like
he's pretty good at it, though. He's in the picture a lot. And, like, you know, these
eventually
quarterbacks.
Those are going to start.
Yeah, right. If you get a quarterback who turtles instead of just, like, stands in there and throws the ball to someone, then you could be in good shape. All right, that's Lynnell Willingham. What's the schedule this week? Rooster tomorrow?
Rooster tomorrow, Rooster Thursday. And I think that's it till Sunday.
No overtime?
No overtime. It's
we're now in hockey season.
We are.
We're all screwed up with basketball this week. Which is
great. I was about to say
It's great. We're happy to give way to Maryland at 6:30 tonight, and the Wizards tomorrow, and then Thursday's a regular show. But then on Friday we're at Capital One Arena. So
Hornets in town.
Hornets in town
you
for
get to see the cool playing
in-season tournament. Yes, we get the in-season, not court. We get the cool different the boundary stone jerseys, which everybody hated, and then they saw them actually on people, and then they're like, wait, these are sick. So maybe people will make up their mind by Friday, so I'll know what the take's supposed to be to anger people or make them happy. And that's our show this week. That's where Lynnell's going to be this week.
Yeah.
And then
it'll be a while before I catch another Zardoz game in person. I think I'm going to. Luka Doncic comes to town the day after my birthday. I'm going to working on something with the Zardoz. I do need your help on that too.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about that, and then actually when we come back, we're going to talk about the Zardoz. So that's next on the Team 980.
Hey, this is DA, and you're listening to The Hoffman Show on the Team